I'm Lita Leapins.
And I'm Jim Gordon.
And welcome to another edition of Our City Tonight.
Well, we're out here to start the show off where we often start our show at the home of our production partners, Hubcast Media.
And let's get right to Our City Tonight.
You're trying to tell me this random horse just appeared out of thin air?
I think I've seen Mystic's memories. You think I'm nuts, don't you?
I mean, yeah. Maybe you should see it as a gift.
Well, it's time for another New Zealand Spotlight. Of course, we like to cover wine and food and business, but we also like to cover art and TV entertainment. Speaking of that, all the way from New Zealand, we want to welcome actress Macy Chipping, who stars in a new show called Mystic, which is now airing on Super Channel Heart and Home here in Canada. Macy, thank you for joining us early morning where you are in New Zealand.
Yeah, hi, thanks for having me.
You're quite welcome. Congratulations on this new show. I was saying to you before we went on camera, I'm clearly not the demo, but I really enjoyed the episodes I've been watching. What I like about this show, too, is within the first 5 minutes, you have laid out for the audience what I want to know. Who you are, the family, where you are, why you don't want to be there, this sad story about your dad, and you're already into it. Like, you guys really hit the ground running. Tell us about your character, Izzy, and let our viewers know about her journey.
Izzy's really rebellious. She's very headstrong. But I think one of her most important qualities is that she really cares for people, and that's so strong throughout the whole show. And it was really nice to be able to play a character that's quite rebellious, because other characters that I've played have been quite innocent and sweet. So it was nice to be able to play a contrast to that.
And she is clearly, as I said, she comes from the hustle and bustle of London, and she finds herself with her mom, who she loves, and her grandmother. They're rather eccentric themselves, but she finds herself in a little rural town in New Zealand. You don't want to be there, but then you, as often happens with life, your character Izzy stumbles across a love for horses. And talk a bit about the bonding your character goes through, because it is actually quite touching to see her go on a journey with this horse, Blaze. And I'm not there yet, but all the mystery behind this horse and the journey you're going to go on.
Yeah, so they accidentally run into each other, and Blaze starts off quite distressed, but as soon as he kind of sees Izzy, it stops and he calms down, and it is a long journey throughout the whole show, but I think the connection's quite immediate, it's there straight away. It's just about building the bond, and it's so lovely because especially at the beginning of the series, Blaze only trusts Izzy, and that's so clear and strong to see, which is really lovely.
Yeah, let's talk about, in real life as an actress, things you do to train. It's part of your craft. Did you have any experience with horses?
I didn't. My friends had horses growing up, and so I was always kind of around them, but my riding wasn't as strong. So I got a recall, and then in that recall, one of the producers, Simon, asked if I was free on the weekend to do horse riding lessons. And then from that point, I did horse riding lessons every weekend, which was really cool. We started from the basics and worked our way up, and I'm still learning today, still not perfect. But that was really interesting, and it's so cool as an actor to be able to learn new skills and to kind of switch up a bit.
And boy, I tell you, for your age, you are an experienced pro. You obviously got into this at a very young age. What was it that you first saw that made you think, I really want to do that?
Well, I initially started in theatre. I was part of a group, and we did a lot of pantomimes back home and theatre there. And then my agents saw me at one of the shows and then asked if I wanted to do it. And none of my family are from an acting background or a musical background, so we kind of had no idea what we was gonna get into, and then I booked my first job, and I was wow, I love this. It didn't feel like work, it just felt like I was doing what I loved every day. So I was I'd love to carry on doing this.
That's great too, and especially when you get to film around the world, that's always a bonus. I don't want to give away too much because the show has just debuted here in Canada, but you're there now working on season 2. So that's good to hear. We want to thank you for joining us, Macy. It's always delightful when we can talk to people on the other side of the planet, thanks to technology. It's Macy Chipping. The new show is Mystic. It is now available for family viewing. I'd say plus 15 and up on Super Channel, Heart and Home. It's Mystic. And Macy Chipping, thank you very much for joining us on Our City Tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're quite welcome. Cheers.
This is
Our next musical guest I'm super excited about. He's a local rock pop pianist and singer-songwriter. Matthew Presidente has been part of the music scene in Vancouver for over 20 years. Matthew's released 6 full-length albums, and growing up in Tsawwassen, he began playing piano when he was only 10 years old. Now, he was quoted in Extra magazine as one of the, if not the best singer-songwriters our LGBT scene has seen. Welcome, Matthew Presidente. So excited to have you on Our City Tonight.
Lita, it's so good to see you again, even virtually through the screen.
Virtually. Well, we're fortunate we get to see each other a little bit, but distanced, obviously, with masks. So we are fortunate. But so excited to have you on the show. I'm going to jump in with our first question. I know you've been doing a lot of really great virtual concerts, which started in 2020. You were sort of forced at using that word pivot, but you've done some amazing things. Tell us about The World is Watching and some of those great concerts you performed in and are continuing to.
Sure. Well, March 2020, when everything in Vancouver started to lock down for, the first round, we would see everyone online on Instagram, on Facebook. All the musicians were entertaining each other. And I think it was more out of a need to connect with people because we were all scared, right? Nobody knew what was going on or what to do. So naturally, I wanted to be a part of this. But Lita, I really wanted to go for quality. And I'm lucky enough to have a partner who's really tech savvy. I have a pretty good setup at home. So we started The World is Watching as a weekly show on YouTube with a focus on collaboration and quality. So these virtual concerts we were showing every week were meant to entertain, to bring people together at a time when things were uncertain, and, to keep up our chops as musicians. So it was a really cool thing. Over the course of 13 episodes, we had over 40 different performers from all around the world.
Oh, that's super exciting. And I know your virtual creation, as well as all your collaborations through even this past year, creation of the bi-weekly series. Let me get this right. More Keys with Maddie P. It's a live platform.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that.
Well, exactly. The World is Watching show kind of led to many more things as we started to get pretty good at this virtual creation from home. Getting good at mixing sound, mixing video, and using some pretty simple lighting techniques to make things look and sound good. So this show led to other gigs. We wound up playing, me and my friends I was collaborating with, virtual prides all around the world, played the Folsom Street Fair in San Francisco right from our living room, like some really cool stuff. So the new platform, Unicorns Live, which is based out of Kelowna, I've started doing a show with them now called More Keys with Maddie P. And it's a fun show. Every 2 weeks we do a show. We bring in one guest. And it's a piano bar kind of format, so people can type in and put requests. We're doing the show live. We do a mix of originals. I take requests, play it on piano, like for better or for worse, okay? Some of these requests are totally crazy, but we give them a try. And there's always a guest, so we have some conversation too, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Well, you always make it a lot of fun. I've been to your, I remember going to one of your concerts, one of your live concerts, and was only going to stay for a short time, but I ended up staying way late, and I had to work in the morning. That was awesome. Now tell us, as we kind of wrap up here, your latest single, Standing in the Way of Love, some of your home recordings. As I mentioned, you've done 6 full-length albums, and tell us a little bit of the piece of the Ace of Base history.
Oh, yeah. Of course. Well, nothing, Lita, compares to doing the big shows. And I've been lucky enough through my music career to be able to play some great stages. Like you mentioned, the Out Games, we did some great headliners, Ace of Base. and Dragonette and Carol Pope were all part of that stage. I've shared stages with Mr. Big, with DOA, even with Patti Smith at one point for a brief moment. So going to this virtual stage from your own living room is a big change. But the coolest thing about it is being able to connect with audiences all around the world. And that has been really wonderful. I had this great new song I was working on, Standing in the Way of Love. And with everything going on, we just had to record it from home. So using the technology, all my band recorded their parts from home. We mixed it all together. So the newest single is truly a pandemic release. And I like how it turned out. It doesn't have that studio polish, but it's got a vibe.
Perfect. Well, you've done some amazing things, Maddie. We're so happy to have you on the show. I'm just going to mention to our audience that we're going to have all your credits at the end of the show. You can find out where to catch Matthew Presidente, and also you can Google him. You'll find amazing work that he's done. Thanks, Maddie. It's just an absolute pleasure for you to take time out of your day.
Oh, it's great to see you. Thank you.
Ed Boitano is a writer-editor. He has written for a variety of mediums. He's also the founder of a great website called travelingboy.com with one L. He was on the show last summer, and we thought by this time we'd be all traveling because he does a lot of it. Lita and I do a lot of it, but we are not. But it's still great to have our old friend Ed Boitano back on the show from Los Angeles. Ed, welcome back to our city tonight.
Oh, great. Thank you, Lita and Jim. I really appreciate the invitation.
Good to have you here.
Yeah, now, Ed, you have a great website we love. It's a lot about travel, but you've added some, since nobody's really traveling right now, you've added some great extensions, some different things to your website. Tell us a little bit about that, especially since you've traveled to about 56 nations, I'm understanding.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Oh, yeah, no, we're adding things that, it's really interesting that obviously there are many, many different websites out there. And so we've been opening up the site to include other things that we would call just fun. Travel trivia is one, international food recipes. And we're just initiating 2 new series. One is devoted to celebrity suites. That is suites where, quote, famous people have stayed, which now are open to the public. So they can stay in that suite. So it's kind of an homage to those celebrities. And then we're also doing something kind of fun is movies of the month. And so we'll select some of our favorite movies and talk about them and write about them. And so it's really a labor of love. We're again trying to keeping it fun, because it's definitely fun for us, and it seems like other people are enjoying it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting too, Ed, as we've been talking over the last year with a variety of different people in different segments in that thread line about, as Lita mentioned, I mentioned pivoting, altering. You guys have done that. Let's talk though a bit about some of the things that people can specifically find on your site. I mean, you were just in Arizona safely, cautiously. You're allowed to in your country now, and depending on which state you're traveling to. But talk about some of the great stuff, as you mentioned. Like, I love the movie stuff, obviously, as a film critic. You're a film critic.
Sure.
But there's so much other great stuff there.
Yeah, no, it's been fun. Well, first and foremost, I should say, it's the great articles by our writers. I mean, it's very world class, we think, with, Richard Carroll and Richard Frisbee and Phyllis Hoffman, Tim Maddox. We've also noticed that Traveling Boy is actually getting quoted in certain books now. So that was kind of a nice little, positive thing. So so we have the articles, and then we have, as I mentioned, the, travel trivia, and we have the recipes, and we're doing polls such as like travel nightmares, and we're currently working on a new one called Places in the Heart, which is about a very, very special destination that our writers have gone to. So it's really great fun.
Ed, you are a Seattle native. I always like to bring that up as well. And a descendant of Leif Erikson and Christopher Columbus. No wonder you love to travel so much. Now, you've traveled, as I alluded to, over 56 nations. Tell us your top 2 or 3 destinations just to get us thinking about traveling again.
Okay. Well, this is good. I would have to say Ireland would be probably my favorite destination. It's still, particularly when you get up on the northwest coast in Donegal County, it's like really seeing living history. So it's very authentic, and the people are extraordinarily hospitable. I love Switzerland, kind of the other flip of the coin, but a nation the size of Maryland has so much there, such diversity and 4 national languages. And then I like Norway too. I mean, the fjords might be the most beautiful place I've ever seen in the world. So, but it's endless. I mean, I can always find something very positive about any destination.
Yeah, I think we're all missing those travel media junkets, Ed, where we first met you and your lovely wife. And speaking of your lovely wife, Deb, we should thank her because I know she is thoroughly responsible for getting you set up with this Skype interview today. So thanks to Deb. Thanks to Deb. Hey, and it's great. It's been great having you on, Ed. We always look forward to your site, and congratulations on seeing what was coming, pivoting, altering, and great success on your site now that you're offering even more than you did before. So
even offering a little Our City Tonight bites. So thank you for that too.
Oh, yeah, are you kidding? It's a hit, a wonderful series, and I'm quite excited about your Susan George episode coming up.
Oh, yes, we got a great actress from Britain coming up, hopefully, fingers crossed, in late June, July. Thank you, Ed. It's Ed Boitano. The website is travelingboy.com. Check it out. It's 1L, we should say, travelingboy.com. Ed, continued safety to you and your lovely wife and everyone else in California.
Thank you both.
This Moments in Diversity segment is brought to you by Mr. Alan Chan, bringing communities together through stories and history. Well, joining me as always is Alan Chan for our Moments in Diversity segments. And Alan, where have you brought me today?
Today we're at the Chinese Culture Center of Greater Vancouver.
You know, I've been here many times, but there was a part of this place that I have never been to, and you wanted me to see this today. What is it?
That's right. Tucked in the second floor of the Culture Center itself, it's actually the Chinese Canadian Military Museum, the only one in Canada.
Yeah, I'm going to head upstairs. You introduced me to a couple of gentlemen that I'm going to talk to. We're going to talk to retired Justice Randall Wong and retired Commander King Wang. That's upstairs, and we'll talk to you after I talk to them.
See you soon.
You bet. Well, now we're upstairs here at the museum with the two distinguished gentlemen who have seen and experienced so much of this city, Vancouver. Okay, lots to talk about. I want to talk about what inspired you both to a lifetime of service. Justice Randall Wong, we'll start with you.
I think because working in my dad's restaurant, which was around the corner from the Vancouver City Police Station, and many of his customers were police officers, lawyers and judges from that same site. I got to know them, and I was very impressed with their conversations, and they influenced me as to the matter of public service in the law. As it turned out, I went into criminal law as the first Chinese Canadian prosecutor in this province, both for the province and for the federal government. And as a result of my litigation experience, I was asked to be a judge in the provincial court, which I served for 7 years. And then I was asked by the federal government, the federal justice minister, to be the first Chinese Canadian to be appointed to this BC Supreme Court. And as a result, I served for 42 years and as the longest serving judge in the history of our province. And when I retired 5 years ago, I was given the nickname of Judicial Dinosaur.
I wouldn't call you that, sir. That's Commander One. You want to jump in with your answer?
That was a good one there, Judge.
Follow that.
Yeah. Well, it's hard act to follow, I tell you. But as a youngster, I learned about the struggles of Chinese Canadian veterans when they came home at a time when they joined the service and not even the citizens, and what they have contributed to Canada. and their achievement of giving the Canadian Chinese the citizenship right, I was inspired by them to give my life to the service of the community. I think that is important for me to do, to hopefully emulate or learn from them and to be good citizens in our country.
Well, let's talk a bit about the challenges you both faced. Every generation does face challenges, of course, but we'll start with you, Justice Wong. Talk a bit about, growing up. You said you were growing up at the tail end of World War II. Talk about the challenges you had being a trailblazer, as is Commander Wan. Talk about what your experiences were like.
Well, I remember it with fondness because by the time of the 1950s, my generation did not experience any discrimination at all. And so many immigrants were coming into Canada that we basically all were immigrants. And as a result, we made some very good friends of different nationalities in the schools. So I think it was, when you think about it, your fellow students were almost like a second family. And that's the way it was in Vancouver because of its diversity.
Commander Wong.
I was very fortunate in that I am actually standing on the shoulders of people like Judge Wong and of Chinese veterans, because by the time I came to my teenage years and growing up years, they've paved the way for the Chinese Canadian being considered equals or considered a part of society. So I did not face as many of the biases and discriminations as some of the pioneers did when they were younger. So that was a very fortunate thing, and I thank them, the pioneers and the people like Judge Wong and Douglas Jung, for their contribution to society, to tell us, to give me the opportunity to live a life that I did.
Can you both talk a bit about the museum? I've not been up here. This is my first time, and I've really enjoyed seeing what I've seen. You're both so heavily involved. Justice Wong, of course, you're the current president here at the museum. Commander Wan, you have a long history as well. What can people see when they're here? I'll start with you, Justice Wong.
Well, what they see is basically the uniforms and some of the weapons that the soldiers utilized, and some of the backgrounds as to why they joined, especially with Force 136, because it was a commando unit.
Wonderful documentary we should mention too on that, yeah.
Yes, and also those who served, like Douglas Jung, became the first member of Parliament who was Chinese Canadian in 1957, and he paved the way for young people later on to also enter into politics. But I think what we wanted to emphasize when people come in here is that why these young men and women should be honored. And we like to preserve their legacy, and hopefully this would also be served as an educational vehicle for the young people, particularly their children and their grandchildren.
The museum was established in 1998. That was over 23 years now when it was established. It was founded by a group of Chinese veterans, as well as a very dedicated and tenacious, I guess, a person by the name of Hao Li. He was an Army Reserve officer, Lieutenant Colonel, had commanded a service battalion in the Vancouver area. He was quite adamant that we should preserve the legacies of our veterans for what they did. And so that was established. And over the years, we've put in more displays and updated so that we can tell the community and the visitors what the Chinese Canadians have done for the country.
Gentlemen, I thank you for your time and thank you for your service to our city, our province, and our country.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Back here with Alan Chan as we wrap up our Moments in Diversity segment. What a great thrill it was to talk to those two distinguished gentlemen. Great accomplishments, but I really did feel like I was talking to living history. Your thoughts? You had some interesting comments on that?
Yeah, listening to them is actually very inspiring. I remember when I was growing up, I had the privilege to play with different people that are coming from different communities. I remember one of the things I really liked was the potlucks, because we get food from all the different cultures. We have the Korean food, the Indian food, the Chinese food. We got everything. So that was great, and it's really thanks to these gentlemen for the works that they have done and the work that they have put in all their lives. I'm able to stand here today and be here today.
Yeah, you said like kind of standing on their shoulders as they pioneered the way. Thank you for bringing me here today, and thank you for introducing me to these two wonderful gentlemen.
Well, welcome.
Thank you, pal. Alan Chan will join us on our next edition, as always, of Moments in Diversity. Well, we're back here at Hubcast Studios where we began the show. Lita, time to say goodbye. But before we leave, folks, another viewer giveaway that is tied into a new show.
Yes, it is. The new series is called Leonardo. In fact, it dives deep into the mind of Leonardo da Vinci, the high Renaissance genius. And in fact, it delves into the drama behind his art, as well as explores a lot of those mysteries that are left behind by typical biographers.
Hey, and what the tie-in means to you, of course, you can watch the show, Lita, I think, on TELUS Presents. It's also free on demand on Optic TV and PIC TV. But we actually have some anniversary edition copies of Leonardo, the complete paintings and drawings from, oh boy, one of our favorite book companies, publishers, Teshin Publishing. The books come wrapped in a beautiful Renaissance style and include a note from the creator of the series. Lita, how can people win this spectacular book?
It is a beautiful book. They can win by sending us a direct message through Facebook as well as Instagram. Make sure you follow us on both of those and just say, I want to win the Leonardo da Vinci book.
And that's right, and check the show out. It's available now. I'm Jim Gordon.
I'm Lita Leapins.
We'll see you on the next edition of Our City Tonight. Outdoor wear for Jim and Lita provided by Helly Hansen, alive since 1877.
Soluzione Spa Products, a national luxury spa product distribution company located in North Vancouver, British Columbia.